So I'm going live. Okay, I think I should be live. Yeah. Okay, so we are live. Thank you everyone here, whoever has joined the session today on a Saturday afternoon. And today's topic of discussion is going to be how to kickstart your career in supply chain and logistics. Supply chain management is an indispensable part of business operations, and it finds its use in several industries, not just one. And it's a viable and highly tech-enabled career option in today's times. And keeping that in mind, we will talk about this profession today. Along with the skills you need to develop, what are the career paths, what kind of certifications or courses you can take, etc., etc. So it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Vaidyanathan, our speaker for today. He has a total of 31 years of experience into shipping, logistics, customs, and covering sea, air, rail, and road transportation, along with all customs related matter like SVB, classification, duty free shops, etc., and that too in several industries. Currently, he's the general manager at Reliance Brands Limited. We'll also be taking your questions later. So don't forget to sort of post in your questions in the live chat box that is there, and also share this session in case you like the session with your friends and with your network. So without further delay, over to you, sir. You can start.
Thanks, Niharika. Welcome, everybody. So, like Niharika said, I'm going to make the presentation or give you insights into how to kickstart your career in supply chain and logistics field. Now, the agenda for today will be, first is what is supply chain and the industry scenario. Then second will be scope of supply chain and logistics as a career. And what are the career paths in SCM and logistics? What kind of skills you need to develop? What is the latest trends and how to keep yourself upgraded and everything? And any certification courses which you should take based on, because supply chain is evolving in India and it is one of the happening career field which is being recognized today. So, what is supply chain? Supply chain management is the handling of the entire production flow of the goods, right from the source of raw material stage till the end product finished good is delivered to the customer. So if I give you an example like cotton, the cotton which is manufactured or which is produced by a farmer, that is the finished goods for that farmer, but that is the raw material source for the yarn maker. So once the yarn maker gets the input raw material which is cotton, so the movement of cotton from the production farm site to his factory, that is one leg of the supply chain. Then based on that, with that yarn, of course, with other inputs, he makes the yarn. Then it goes to the fabric manufacturer. So for the fabric manufacturer, the cotton yarn which he sources is the input. Then the fabric is the finished goods for that manufacturer who produces the fabric. The fabric goes to a company which makes ready-made garments, say in Tirupur or Coimbatore or somewhere in Ludhiana or wherever it is made. So that is an input for that factory which makes the ready-made garments. The ready-made garments is the end product, output, the finished goods for that. Now the ready-made garment is sold through e-commerce, through the stores, that is the brick and mortar stores, all these. It reaches to the end customer. So the entire leg of chain, right from the source of cotton till it is made into a ready-made garment and it goes to the end customer. This entire thing is called supply chain. Now, what all things are covered in supply chain? It is not only logistics. Logistics is a key part because that movement of goods from one place to another. The second is the handling and storage, which is in the warehouse. So the warehousing and distribution. Again, when it goes into the warehouse, then it goes inward, outward. It goes into the production shop floor, everything. So it covers the entire gamut of supply chain. So this is one example which I can give. Second is you can take in the automobile industry. A car manufacturer, say like a company like Maruti or M&M who manufacture the automobiles. For them, they source various components which goes into making a particular vehicle, say a four-wheeler. The four tires, the steering, the dashboard, the glasses, the doors, windows, all those things. So these are the inputs which come into, these are the source of an input raw material for them. But the manufacturers of, say, these tires, that the steering wheel, the steering and the gearbox and all these things, those for those companies, that is the output. So that is a finished good. So the entire supply chain, if you look at it today, whether it is all these auto component companies or most of the companies, they work on just-in-time basis because they don't carry much of an inventory. So it has to be a smooth flow. And don't forget, we also deal with supply chain and logistics in our daily life, right from the time we get up in the morning to the milkman coming. So that itself is a supply chain and logistics. The milk, the paper, the newspaper which we get in the morning, the subjis, the vegetables, fruits, what we get in the morning, everything is part of supply chain. So we, in our day-to-day life, supply chain and logistics plays an important role or important part, whether it is our personal life, professional life, or anything. Second is, what is the scope of supply chain as a career path? Like I said, the supply chain will exist as long as the world will exist. As long as the human beings are going to be there, there will be consumption, there will be new product launches, there will be so many things happening. And for each and every activity, you need to have supply chain and logistics. And one more point which I would like to add is, in today's world, I mean, if you look at it, the BPOs, what we have, so you have human supply chain as well, people movement. That is also an important part of supply chain because you see the vehicles being arranged for pickup of the people who work in BPOs from their residence, go to the drop at the office, again after the shift is over, pick up from the office, and then again drop back to their residence. So you will feel the part of supply chain if you look around and observe very carefully in your day-to-day life. Each and every step you will find, yes, this is the supply chain happening. You will find your milkman coming dot at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time you say. The newspaper coming at around, say, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, it dot. So all these things will happen. So as a career, you can choose to be in the supply chain management and logistics function. The broad is, one is the service provider side, which is the freight forwarders, the transport management companies, the warehousing companies, the shipping companies, name it, every whoever provides that. The second is the service taker side, which is all the industries where you can work, like, say, Reliance, Aditya Birla Group, Adani Group, Tata Group, any name, any Godrej, all these companies. Like global logistics and supply chain, like I told you, the shipping companies, the global freight forwarders, everybody. Local logistics is purely transportation by road, rail, even sea movement through sea coastal movements, everything. So this is one way. Warehousing and distribution, with the kind of growth in our consumption and in the economy, warehousing and distribution is growing like anything. You will find a lot of organized players also coming into warehousing and distribution, like Adani's have set up, Welspun is there, you have DHL and so many people. So you need warehouses. Amazon or Flipkart or e-commerce companies setting up warehouses, huge warehouses, where you have to manage the different categories of products which you buy, the way you source your products. Third, the one important part is port operations. You see all the international trade or even the local trade moving through coastal movements. It has to, by sea, whatever moves, it has to move through ports. So you will find a lot of port development, sea-based coastal movement, sea-based development happening. So you have in port operations, what kind of operations you can do in the port. So you need people to do that. Then you have within shipping, different categories. Sea, within the sea movement of shipping, container trade, dry bulk, you have petroleum, oil, crude, gas, minerals, food grains, all these things. So one is the container movement, which normally moves in the containers of 20 footer and 40 footer, which is very easy to measure in terms of, okay, this kind of cargo, it will go in this kind of container. But the interesting field which I found, I mean, I had the opportunity to work in Tata Group for 5 years to take care of the rival chartering. So chartering is an interesting and important, very interesting field which you can go into, especially if you are interested into, again, within chartering, you have lot, oil, petroleum products, so many things. So there is enough scope for choosing a path in career in supply chain and logistics. So first and foremost is you need to decide which part, what kind of things you want to be. Then what kind of skills you have to develop to get into a supply chain and logistics career. First is you need to decide which sector in supply chain management you want to make a career in. Whether it is in the service provider side or service taker side, you can switch vice versa. Because nowadays it is very, though it is not that easy, but again, depending upon your skill sets and your smartness, you will be observed. Supposing you are in the service provider side, from there to the service taker side, you can switch because your experience from the service provider side will count there. Then you need to check what kind of specialized courses are there. Like you have there is an institute, government institute, which is giving a course in New Delhi in Indian Institute of Foreign Trade or something like that. There you have. Then you have Narottam Morarji Institute of Shipping, which is based out of Mumbai. There you can do some specialized courses. Mumbai University is conducting some specialized courses in import-export management and logistics management. I think Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute or Symbiosis, they also conduct some specialized courses. So you first you need to know what all courses and which institutes are giving those courses, how reputed they are, whether they are accepted even within India by reputed companies or globally. Then what is the kind of fee structure, what is the faculty they have, what is the course content, all these things, the duration of the course. Even if it is part-time, don't bother, because part-time courses also people accept. Full-time, if you are able to do it, please do it, because there will be most of the people who wants to do these courses and skill up your things based while working. So that is something which you need to choose. And fees plays an important part because you have to shell out money to do the things. Then every day is a learning experience in supply chain and logistics. Each and every shipment you handle, each and every truck you handle, each and every vessel you handle, you will learn something new. You will learn something or the other which is going to be an important aspect, so that you know, okay, I did something on, say, 29th of December, a truck came, what all problems I encountered in that, or what all the good things which I saw in that. See, there is both the sides. You will get a very good experience, so that good practices which a service provider follows, you can implement it. And the most important, you need to interact with your service providers as well, whether you are from the service provider side, especially the service taker side. You have to interact with your service provider, treat them as partners, and then understand what kind of improvements you can do and what kind of information which you can provide to them in advance, so that they help you and they serve you better and faster. So this is something which you will have to note down on day-to-day basis, what all things happen. Then mark, say once in 15 days or 1 month, review daily calendar, daily diary notings, and mark, okay, this is something which happened on this day, which is an interesting point, which is an interesting thing, which can happen in future also. How to avoid that, or this is the best practice which I found in this, so how I can implement it in day-to-day things, so that it will be smooth. Now, the way that technology is changing, it is important that you must keep track of what is the latest technological upgradation and technological functions which are available to flow of information. See, ultimately, supply chain is also not only the flow of goods and services from one place to another, it is also important for communication. When the goods are going to arrive, when the goods are going to leave, have you picked up the goods from the factory or the source? Then has it been put into the truck? So every function, if you have noticed, if you order in say Flipkart or Amazon or any of the e-commerce website, especially it gives you the update. You just go into the app, it gives you an update. Okay, your order is placed, your order is picked up, your order is on the way, it has reached so and so location, it has reached so and so location. Okay, it is out for delivery. Then you will also find like Zomato or Swiggy, if you order, you can see live the person carrying your food order from the source hotel till it comes to you. You can see, okay, he's just going to be, he has arrived near your building, just open the door and receive the parcel. So this is the kind of technological use which is happening. So one has to accept it. And for this, one cannot be rigid, or one should not be saying that नहीं मैं जो कर रहा हूँ वही बराबर है, मैं ऐसे ही करूंगा. You have to accept change. Change is a constant. It is going to happen throughout your life, and that is going to change the way you work. So your skill upgradation, how you adapt to that, how you are going to use that to your advantage, that is an important part. The certification courses which you can take, like I said, most of the universities offer the courses in logistics, import export management, and etc. So you can check in detail about them, what kind of topics they cover, what is the duration of the course, what is the fees, and then take a call. Narottama Morarji Institute of Shipping is a reputed institute. I know a lot of my friends who have done the chartering course from there, and they are placed well. One of the important thing is the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, which is based out of London. You can just study it from home and online courses and do the chartering, which covers the entire chartering gamut, right from your dry bulk chartering to crude chartering to product tanker chartering, how you want to specialize and everything. Yes, it does cost a huge sum of rupees to do, but once you do that, it is accepted worldwide. In the field of chartering, you will be just taken like this, and you will get a good, you can make a good career in chartering anywhere in the world. So this is something which you can do, which is interesting. So that ends my presentation. I'm ready to take the questions and answer whatever questions to my ability. Niharika, over to you.
Yeah. So I think there are so many people watching. We can have more questions. Although we do have a few, let me just start with them and see if more people can post. So Lalit wants to know how to start. How can he start his training? He's a mechanical engineer and he wants to switch into supply chain. I think this is a very common question because we've had a couple of people also ask during the registration that they're mechanical engineers and how they can switch into supply chain. So, would be very helpful if you could answer that.
See, one is your qualification. You may be a mechanical engineer, you may be a commerce graduate, you may be even a normal science graduate, or you can even be a chartered accountant. Coming into the field which you want to choose, especially being an engineer, you can go into production or you can go into supply chain. If you're already working, you just see if you are able to get a switch into the supply chain department in your company. So that is going to be the first step. So you will learn everything from there. You may have to slog initially. It's not a rocket technology, but you can learn. So you can switch over within your company. A lot of people do that. They work in production first, then of course job rotation in different departments, especially for techno commercial people. If you are a technical person, and if you get into this commercial as well as the supply chain and logistics field, that makes you also a CEO material.
Okay. So, okay, there is someone else also who's asking that they have completed civil engineering and then want to start into supply chain. I think the answer would be, I guess,
Answer would
same.
be
Huh,
same. Yes,
would be
yes.
same. Okay. Then there is someone who has asked, what is, so this is not a career related question. What is the distance constraint for local logistics through seaways? It's a technical question, I think.
See, seaways, one is, even if you get the goods by sea, the last leg from the port to the destination, or even from the source to the nearest port, has to be by road. So there is no constraint as such. Only thing is you have to do the cost benefit analysis. For example, if you are getting some goods from the eastern part of India, say from Andhra Pradesh, which is located in the coast, or Odisha, minerals and everything. So what is the cost of getting it by road? How many, I mean, again, what is the cargo it will be? So how many trucks you will require? What is going to be the total cost of getting that? What are the risks of pilferage, theft, and all those things happening? Second option is by rail, how you can get it, what is going to be the cost. By sea, if you get it, the total cost end to end, I mean, all the modes put together, end to end, right from the source of that origin of the goods till it reaches your factory. You have to make the cost benefit analysis, and then of course the time analysis, how much time it is going to take and all those things, and then come to a conclusion. Yes, there are enough scope for improvement of coastal movement within India. There is a constraint in terms of the number of vessels available, the number of berths. So coastal movement as a push is not yet given much in India, though this government is giving it since the past 7 years, but it is going to take time.
Okay. Okay, so there are many questions coming in. Do you think dynamic capabilities like sensing, seizing, and reconfiguring will affect the supply chain?
Yes, you have to sense, you have to seize, and you have to take the opportunities and see, okay, what is going to happen next. And that is what an important part of making a supply chain, because at the end of the day, your factories are going to run only if you have the raw materials in place. Your business of finished goods, or I mean, as a retailer, you will find that as a business, your business will run only when you have the finished goods for sales available.
Okay, there is another interesting question which I think would be applicable to or will answer a lot of people's doubts. What are the skills that companies look for when you apply for a job in supply chain? Also, we had a few questions on a similar lines during the registration also, that when someone is a fresher and they want to enter the industry with no experience behind them, then how can they do so in supply chain? So if you could throw some light on the particular skill sets they could focus on.
Yeah, see, everybody starts as a fresher. Even I started as a fresher. Okay, even if you look at it, I didn't know what is supply chain and logistics, except for the spelling of supply chain and logistics and import and export. So somewhere or other you will start. So first of all, you get into that, you get trained. There are a lot of companies who hire them. And then only thing is you have to have the inclination and the fire and the things to learn. It is you as an individual who have to show your interest in learning. Like, you go to school or you go to college to learn, right? You don't expect the teacher to come and teach you. So that is something which you have to do. I didn't get this other part of the question, Niharika. What was the other part?
The question was basically, what are the skills do companies look for when you apply
See, the
for
basic skills what the
supply
company look
chain?
for is how smart you are, how good at you are in taking pressures, handling the things in when in difficult times, the stress. So various I mean, various tests are conducted by the companies to see how competent you are, how, what kind of analytical skill set you have got, what kind of pressures you can take, what kind of thinking ability you have, how openly you can think, how openly you can ask questions, how are you going to be confined in, नहीं भाई मैंने तो मेल भेज दिया हो गया मेरा काम. It's not like that. So in any field, for that matter, it is not only in logistics and supply chain, whether it be production or finance or any field. So as a person, your way of attitude, the way you approach, that is one thing which a company, any company will see, especially the top-notch companies like the Tatas, the Birlas, the Reliance, the Adanis, and Godrej, because they need people who are going to be a go-getter. You have to see to it that it is your business. You look at it as your business and take it, then the way you will approach it, that makes a difference.
Right. Okay, then can you suggest some online courses for supply chain management?
To be frank, I have not come across any course, but maybe you can search it, like Narottam Morarji Institute of Shipping or Symbiosis, uh, or Indian Institute. There is a government institute in Delhi. I mean, Niharika, I'm just forgetting the name. International Institute of Foreign Trade or some International Institute of Foreign Trade. These can give, some of the universities can give you. So I don't know whether IIMs conduct any new course on this. So you can keep checking. You, since you want to do online, then you check overseas also. Like some courses will be available from Singapore or Dubai or European countries or US, which you can do online. But the only thing is you'll have to see to it that whether those are recognized or not, whether they are legit or not. Because online you may get cheated also. So you have to be first and
Correct.
foremost careful, inquire, all those things.
Right. Okay. So, how can coding be supportive to SCM and logistics? I think this might be a question from a software engineer.
Yeah, software is being used in a big way in supply chain and logistics. Like I told you, it is a flow of information also. It's not just the flow of goods and services. Mm. It is also a flow of information at where the goods and services are. Is it picked up or not? Is it loaded or not? What stage it is, and can I see it live? If you look at it in the international or even the trucking today, the GPS device is fitted in. RFID devices are fitted in, like the Map My India. I mean, you can see live the truck movement where it is going. So coding, when you say coding, what kind of coding you want to do, what kind of software you want to develop to do these things is something, it can be done. But at the end of the day, input has to come from a human source. So one has to be very careful that whatever you input it on real time basis. So it is done. Nowadays, if you look at it, even the barge movement which is happening in the coast or the barge unloading and all, I mean, if you go into detail into the dry bulk shipping, some of you who are in Mumbai or Gujarat, if you see in the coastal areas, there are a lot of barges moving because all the vessels cannot come into the berth alongside the berth. So it will be anchored somewhere in the middle of the sea. The barges will go, unload the cargo, and that barges will come to the shore to deliver the cargo. How do you track the movement of the barges? So there is a GPS device for that, which will show you live which barge is alongside the vessel, how much time it is taking to get filled. Okay, it has left from there, it is coming here. So software definitely has, there are a lot of software companies, there are a lot of new software which are being developed in supply chain and logistics. Like I can give you the example of Shipsy. Shipsy is a platform which is used for right from the time you enter the shipment, initiate the shipment, till you get everything right from your documents to the freight invoice to the IGM and everything, you can get it through that. Only thing is you need to be very disciplined in inputting the data in that. That is something which you'll have to do real time.
Right. And also there was one question that came up when when we were taking registration. So, like, what are the top aspirational companies that people look for when they are looking for a job in supply chain, and how can you crack their interviews, or how can you how should you prepare for them?
See, the top companies, if you look at it, one is if you want to be in the e-commerce field, Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, or GeoMart, and all those things are there. That is something which is an interesting. You should really learn how. I mean, if you work in Amazon, you will come to know what kind of things supply chain they do, because you just order, like the big bold, I mean, the big Republic Day sale or something which happened recently. If you look at it, just order it in the evening. I mean, maybe you get some of the products within 2 hours delivery, some of the product next day delivery. How they do it, you will come to know. You go into any other e-commerce company like Big Basket or Grofers or so on and so forth. I mean, other big retailers. So retail industry is one part of it. FMCG like Hindustan Unilever, Marico, Nestle, Dabur. So that is also an interesting area where you can work, because it is not only online. See, every company is there in e-commerce today. You have their own site, you can, but there is brick and mortar also. You get your products in your supermarkets, to your nearby kirana stores, everything. So that is one way of looking at it. See, so like I told you, supply chain and logistics is a vast field. Go into automobile sector, you can work in M&M, Maruti, Ashok Leyland, Tata Motors, or Volvo, Mercedes Benz. So that is something which is a different market. Again, within the automobile sector, like I told you, if you work for BMW, Mercedes Benz, Audi, or all those luxury segment of the things, the demand and the things will be more. Because when a person is ordering a Mercedes, and if you comment that, okay, today on 29th of January, you placed the order, by 28th of February, we will deliver the car to you. So you have to deliver the car to that person 28th of February, because he's paying a big amount of money for that car. Unlike you go and buy a Maruti, I mean, let us face it, even if you go and buy a Maruti entry level car, there is a waiting today. Of course, that is because of the supply chain. Again, supply chain constraint because of the chip availability, the semiconductor availability, and all those things. So if you want to go into aspirational companies, yes, Reliance is one place where you can learn a lot of things. Like I told you, Reliance, Adani, your Aditya Birla Group, the top-notch retailers, the e-commerce companies. Or if you want to be the service provider side, like if you want to be the shipping line side, you can go into some of the shipping companies like Merck, CMA, CGM, then MSC, or with good freight forwarders like Om Logistics, Poon & Nagel, Schenkers, Expeditors, who are into the entire, you will learn a lot, DHL. So a lot of aspirational companies. But don't get into love with any company. It's ultimately you have to learn and go and move on, because if you want to grow, you have to see that where the opportunities are.
Correct. So we are actually having a lot of questions. I don't think I'll be able to pick all of them, but let me, sort of handpick some of the questions that would probably cater to a wider audience. So one question is, how important is to have a transparency in a supply chain?
You must have transparency in the supply chain. Unless you have transparency, how will the things run? A factory cannot run if you don't have transparency in supply chain. No? That is what
Right.
is information flow. Information flow and communication is the key, one of the key important things in supply chain. Especially if you look at it in the last 2 years during the COVID period, where there have been a lot of disruptions in the supply chain. So the visibility and when the cargo or the raw material or even the finished goods will be available. So that kind of transparency is something which is very important.
Okay. Next question. Will a postgraduate diploma part-time be beneficial for good job opportunities?
Yeah, it can be. Like I told
Right.
you, see, it is not only your course which matters. It is the smartness and your thinking ability and your communication skills and your attitude which matters. So even if you have not done a post graduation, but you have these qualities, definitely the company is going to, I mean, that company will hire you, whoever is there in that,
Right. And then, in fact, I think we also had a related question where, someone had asked that how can you break into supply chain without pursuing an MBA in operations? Like, I think a lot of people believe that MBA is probably quite important.
no,
So,
not necessarily. I have not done any, of course, even though I have done my postgraduate diploma in management, that I did it along with my work. But you need not have those things. It is
right.
not a compulsory thing. If you have it, yes,
Of
it's
course, it's
one
well
of
and
the
good.
degrees thing. But like I told you, it is more important is your attitude, your approach,
Hmm.
the way you think, the way you communicate, the way you present, the way you totally think out of the box. That matters.
Okay. Does sales experience have any role in supply chain management?
Yes, you are going to do procurement also in supply chain, right? So
Right.
sales experience will definitely have a important role in procurement of your supply chain services and
Right. Okay. So there is another question: how to find a job in supply chain management, or how to approach a company for a particular role?
You have to keep looking out. You can, if you have anybody working in that company, you can go through them, referrals, all those things. Of course, there are job portals like Naukri.com or other job portals. Then through that you can go. Like I told you, if some of the institutes where you will be doing the courses, they will have campus recruitments. So it's more of, it's like selling yourself. I mean, you are going to present you are making a presentation of yourself, that why a company should hire you. So that is something which you need to find out, who are there, who is working. अच्छा मेरे friend का friend कोई काम कर रहा है, via like that. You have to go and keep on meeting people, talking to them, understand, and you will be definitely able to get. And today a lot of people are hiring. I mean, especially the e-commerce companies and all, because they are expanding like anything. The retailers, the retail is going to be a big employer. Even the manufacturing is going to come, because this Make in India is making a lot of manufacturing activities within India. So a lot of factories will come up, a lot of new manufacturing facilities will come up. So definitely they will need supply chain and logistics people.
Right. So I think we don't have any more questions that we can take up. Okay, someone has thanked you, sir, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and one last thing, I think one question I can pick up from our list of the people, the questions that were shared at the time of registration, which I think is important because data and analytics has become like a really in thing these days. So is there like what about a career into supply chain analytics? Is how like what how should people prepare for it, and what is the kind of
See,
scope?
supply chain analytics, I mean, you can do it, but again, I don't think that it will have enough scope in the near future. Maybe you can look at it as some startup company doing it, so which can give you an insight into, okay, because of this analysis, we came up with something that, okay, you can save time. Like I was reading there is a new startup which has come up, which says that your container, the import container, say from Navasheva, if it goes into Pune for delivery, the empty container has to come back to Navasheva. Instead of that, they are matching the requirement within that industrial cluster where it goes, and that container is placed to the exporter who wants that container, so that container doesn't come empty to Navasheva. So that there is a time saving, and the turnaround time of the container is faster, and it saves a huge sum of amount. So data analytics is important, because see, when you do e-commerce, what kind of products in which geography, what kind of products which customers buy. Like if you go into Amazon site today or Flipkart site, the moment you search something, they show similar products. I mean, it keeps on popping you up. So that, how that comes? Because of data analytics only. So data analytics is going to be playing a big role going forward. Maybe 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, it is going to play an important role. It is studying the behavior of the customer. What kind of in this cluster of area, in this geographical area, say within Mumbai or Delhi, South Delhi people, what kind of products they buy, when they buy, during which part of the month they buy the grocery shopping, or the what kind of shopping they do, what all products goes fast. So these kind of analytics is going. That is how even the retailers put the goods in the shelves in those areas. For example, if you take a Reliance Fresh or a D-Mart or any other supermarket, I mean the Vishal Mega Mart or V-Mart and all, they will definitely be studying based on this data analytics, which happens based on the customer purchases, which all products go faster and at what time of the month. Is it between 1 to 10 or 1 to 1st to 5th of the month, these products go faster than from 6th to 10th, what kind of products? So they may do it into, divide the month into 4 weeks or 10 days each, or whatever different ways. And of course, various stores, locations, what kind of products they go. So they order like that. Similarly, data analytics in terms of the customer behavior. How many times the customer, e-commerce customer, they buy it and they return it. how many times they do it. So is that customer a problematic customer? Should we block that customer? So these things come up.
Right, right.
So one more
Yes.
thing which I wanted to add, Niharika,
Yeah,
is
sure.
that your precious metal logistics also, your gold, silver, platinum, diamond, because there are a lot of gold, raw gold, as well as, I mean, the raw which gets manufactured, because India is a big manufacturing hub for this gems and jewelry. So that is logistics which comes in, and we do have high-end jewelry products of, say, like Tiffany or some other equivalent brands which are being imported into India and sold into India, which are made to order. So this is the one field. So supply chain also covers customs, your regulatory and compliance matters like customs, GST, and other various compliance related matters like legal metrology and the labeling requirement, the BIS, and your environmental things, the, you can say, the endangered species animals, like if you are using a jacket made of, say, exotic leather of a snake or a crocodile or any other animal, then is it allowed to be sold or not? Is it allowed to be imported or not? So it is a vast, because the way we consume whatever we consume as human beings, everything is part of supply chain. So taking care of the environment and these regulatory things, that is also an interesting field. Getting into the customs and GST and all the other compliance related part. So don't restrict yourself to supply chain in terms of warehousing, distribution, logistics alone. You go into these regulatory parts also, because that is also an equally important aspect and a field which you will find interesting.
Right. Uh, we are still getting questions, but I am sorry, guys, I won't be able to take up all. I'll just so someone has also has sort of posted a positive comment. He says that been so valuable listening to you. Thank you for your valuable info.
Thank
And
you very much.
one last question I'll take up before we close is, can you please tell how we can learn logistics without doing an MBA?
You can learn logistics. You work in a company. You observe, no, what kind of a daily milkman coming to you. What kind of logistics he does? You talk to him. दूध कहाँ से आता है, milk कहाँ से आता है, how much, what is the time it starts and comes to your area? Because again, then how you do that? I mean, it is an important concept in the logistics. Milk run, I mean, you people would have heard about milk run. So what does the milk run mean? He carries the milk for a particular street or a particular area. He knows, okay, this is the kind of clockwork precision he will work. If he goes into a building of it having a 10 floors, and out of the 10 floors, say, having 50 flats, out of the, say, 25 flats buys the milk from that particular milkman, he will pack that milk in such a manner that, okay, he will go to the topmost floor first, where he has to deliver by lift, and then go on coming down and putting up the milk. So he will do it faster. The newspaper vendor who delivers newspaper to our house, learn from him the logistics. Talk to the sabji wala, I mean the vegetable vendor or the fruits vendor. How does he get it? You will learn. I mean, you can learn the logistics from these people day in and day out.
Right. Okay. Okay. I think we still have questions, but we are already overshooting, so I won't be able to take them up. What you guys can also do is post in your questions on the same YouTube link, because this will be there on our YouTube channel. There will be a comment section. We will probably, try to answer those questions later. Thank you so much, sir. This was very, very insightful. And from the comments that are still coming in, people were really happy and really they found value in this webinar. And thank you guys for joining, for putting in your questions. Also, this video would, as I said, this video would be available on our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to Naukri Learning, because we will be having more such learning content in future. And once again, sir, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on
very
this.
much, Niharika, for having me in this session. And I hope that I have been able to answer and give some insight to the participants in terms of how to choose or why they should choose a career in supply chain and logistics.
Yeah.
I'll once again, given an opportunity, I would like to be a part of Naukri Learning doing such kind of webinars so that I share my experiences and the insights what I have got with the younger generation who want to make a career in this field.
Yeah,
Thank you very
surely,
much
surely.
for
We'll definitely want to have you on board again.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a nice evening.